In a galaxy far, far away, there is an Aliva 1 podcast that mainly focuses on MCP. But in today's episode, we'll be doing a deep dive into the lovely Star Wars Shatterpoint. My name is Michael Waller, and today with me is Stephen Borg.
How's it going? I was going to say, not anymore.
We recorded that intro like 5 times.
Yeah, that was like our fifth or sixth take. So
yeah,
the other ones were less good, I guess, or they were good. I don't know, man. I'm fucking exhausted, so you have to bear with me.
midterms for both of us.
Yeah. Well,
so I'll take it.
Okay.
So today we're going to be finally doing our brief, our intro into Star Wars Shatterpoint by AMG. This is my second game that I'm passionate about. Steven had the chance to play it while we were at the fall retreat, and we thought today would be a good day to talk about it.
Yeah, and so some context here in general terms too for like history. Since Nick, Steven, and I wanted to start this podcast a long time ago, we wanted to do different games, and I know we have a Trench Crusade episode, and that never really took off. However, when things started shifting around and we picked up, Waller and whatnot, Waller actually plays this game regularly. So I feel confident enough in Waller to kind of just like do his own thing for this. Gives me a week off sometimes, unless you want me on there at certain points. But we're just going to kind of start expanding the Alive on One world, so to say, with like a different game system. So... Yeah. But today's episode is more tuned to our normal listeners, which are of the MCP variety. Some of you may or may not have played Shatterpoint before, but it's made by the same company that makes MCP. So, but it's Star Wars IP instead of Marvel, and that's the main difference.
Yeah. Gameplay wise too is very different. When they first announced Star Wars Shatterpoint years ago, when they teased it, I thought, oh, let's rock an MCP version of Star Wars where you can throw terrain with Darth Vader or Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like that at all. I've played a couple of miniature games, and this one is I don't want to say fully, but it feels it's most unique. Like there's not another game like how it plays. I
think the only score, I mean, we'll get into this later, but I do think just like right off the top of my head, the only scoring system that's even remotely similar is the Digimon card game, where you kind of like shuffle back and forth on points based on like a round of gameplay. But we'll get into that. Anyways, so back into our normal sort of intro stuff. So characters Alive on One.
I'll go first. So I played in the RSG, Red Seal Gaming Tournament, this past Saturday. I wanted to play with the new webs, but I did not have the boxes yet. Now I do. So I just played with Suns. In my finals game, I had Bleed, who was Alive on One. And I also had, surrounding him was Wong. I was playing a Humans player. It was Wong, Black Bolt, and Gorgon. Black Bolt had a bleed on him, and he was Alive on One. And I could have taken out. I could have taken out Bolt end of round 3, but I decided to not attack him with Blade, as Blaze was my last activation, and his last activation was Wong. And I didn't want to lose my leadership yet because Blade was injured. So I decided to instead attack Wong with the katanas to give him bleed. And then I attacked Gorgon to give him bleed too. So at the end of his round, he was able to heal up 3 damage to go to Alive on 2, which worked out for me because then at the top of the round, I was able to, with Siege of Darkness and 2 Blade Spenders, to KO Black Bolts, KO Gorgon, and Daze Wong.
Nice.
And I was scared because he still had a Karnak left to go, who could have got 1 attack into Blade by moving and attacking, and I didn't want to lose my leadership yet, so I just opted to heal him, basically.
Yeah. And I was just thinking in my head, I was like, you can like decide to keep or get rid of this stuff we do at the beginning. It's up to you when you start doing more episodes, but for the Star Wars stuff. But I I guess it would be a signature thing if you kept it on them too, but just make it Shatterpoint related, I guess, right?
Yeah.
All I have written here for Alive on One is I'm always alive on one. It's a state of mind.
Oh my gosh.
The Burke way. I actually don't think I've played a game in the past like 6 or 7 days. So I guess jumping to life stuff too. I have a really bad pathology professor. And so I have been relearning and learning all of the heart and all of the lung, ear, eyes, nose, and throat stuff on my own. So I've literally been just reading a textbook, watching a bunch of videos, listening to like a 3-hour-long podcast, and like trying to learn basically all of the upper body's anatomy on my own. So it's been quite hard. Recently, haven't been able to play a game. So that's why I do not have an Alive on One moment. So
when does your semester end?
November. But like, to be fair, like school's gotten a lot easier, but maybe also I've just gotten used to it. But our summers are the hardest. That's when it's like really tough. But we're in clinic. We start clinics this summer, so that's kind of cool.
That's good.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But so hobby catch up. You got anything?
Yes, I have painted Miguel 2099.
Oh, yeah, this fucking kid. He FaceTimes me in the middle of one of my classes.
Yeah, I want to.
Like, what's going on? Are you dead? No, I want to show you my Miguel. Okay. Just said take a picture.
I still haven't. He's not like done. I think I need another hour. I spent about 6 hours yesterday on him.
Oh, wow.
I still need another hour to finish him up. But then last night when I got home, I kit bashed the rest of my spiders.
Cool.
So I gave Noir a gun and a Rubik's Cube. I wanted to change how his leg.
Cube?
Yeah.
Noir?
From the movie.
He has a Rubik's Cube in the movie?
Yeah. In the movie, the first movie, he like found a Rubik's Cube and he's like, I love this like device. I don't understand it. And then he's like, I'm gonna take it back to my dimension.
I missed that part, I think.
Yeah. Ham, I want to give him a pie for his other hand. And I have a cool idea, but I don't know how it's going to work. Silk is actually the only one I did not do any kit bashing to, because I think her model's amazing.
Yeah, and her model's really busy too, so I wouldn't want to add too much to that. But
yeah, and then Ultimate Spider-Man, I gave my model to Dan from PRP, and he's gonna do what he did with my 3-threat miles and sculpt a hoodie on him and and jean shorts.
That actually reminds me. There's a listener of ours. We met him, Rob, at the team tournament that we went to, and I should get him on to talk about different painting topics, because he's going to like help me out with some cell shading. He was so happy that we mentioned him last episode. I'll mention him again, but like his painting's excellent, and having him on talking about, because we, I know Maddox and Nick aren't on, and like it's mostly you and I hobby, but like it's mostly people who don't really paint on our podcast now. So we should probably do some more hobby related episodes in general, and those can be like game neutral, right? So we can talk about like Shatterpoint models, we can talk about MCP models, Warhammer stuff, like, because I am working on Warhammer stuff as well right now. So
yeah, I really like going back and forth. Like each month I paint primarily one game. So like this month is MCP, last month was Shatterpoint. Like I painted
painted a lot, and I saw those. They look really good too. So
thank you. I painted only Shatterpoint, and then this month I'm like, all right, I'm back to MCP, and then next month it's going to be back to Shatterpoint. Like I do it kind of like that. Of course, like if I need like a model from Sun Range painted for like game day that I really want painted, then I'll go paint them. But like now I'm revamping my Midnight Suns. Like I put Blade on a tombstone now.
Nice.
Finished my werewolf. He's like, I sculpted a shirt to make it look like he's ripping it off.
You sculpted a shirt?
Shirt, not shirt.
It's the little things right now for me. Oh, a shirt, you say? Nice. Yeah. I mean, makes sense. What's nice to think about, like I'm getting to cell shading right now, but like, what's good about my painting style, at least for like, the way I do MCP to Warhammer, is it's like I paint Grimdark anyways. So I'm just gonna like, when I paint a Warhammer model, it's like the same fucking thing. So it doesn't take too much to like, I can put like Eldar, or like right now I have a Demon Prince on my table that I'm just like sliding into the rotation because it's kind of the same color palette as well. I noticed I have a very similar color palette too, so I'm trying to like expand that a little bit, which will just involve like maybe a trip to Midgard to like take a look at some different colors. But I like earth tones a lot, so just whatever.
Yeah, we should definitely do an episode on hobby, because as I've been progressive through painting, I've definitely have like developed my own style.
Yeah,
when it comes to the models,
it takes a while, but I definitely think that's something you start to hammer home. Like, you know, I was painting 40K for years before I started even getting like remotely a style. Then it was honestly like there's a point where I took a model to Crossroads up in Maine, and like Steven was like, wow, that's like uniquely you at this point. And I was like, oh, it was like at that moment, because he was like, we paint so differently. But it was at that moment I was like, oh wow, I've developed my own like way that I do things. So it's kind of cool to see.
Which model was it?
I think it was Sunspot, actually.
Oh, that model looks sick.
Yeah, I know. He's one of my Thanos is also pretty fucking dope. So if I do to my own horn, but now I kind of want to elaborate on that and like start bringing some cell shading into it, which just means like a lot more straight lines.
Yeah.
And a lot different, like kind of like highlighting colors and stuff. So it's kind of cool. Plus that, you know, if you and I both take on like commissions at certain points, and like if you have your own style, people are like, oh, I really want this done in that way by this person. Right.
Yeah.
So, like I know when Jin asked me to do some stuff, he wanted it specifically to be kind of like darker characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like so he had me do his like Midnight Suns and his APOC too. So
yeah, that's awesome. I've like commissions wise, I've definitely taken on mostly like Shatterpoint commissions. Like I just finished Wayland's 2 Ahsoka's, and now I have Pedro's like Inquisitors and Grand Moff that he wants done in a certain way. That's not from like typically from like the shows or movies.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I love painting Shatterpoint minis.
Yeah, no, you do a good job with them. I think whatever, you know, your kind of style is developing to be like more like good with the Shatterpoint line too.
Yeah, I feel like my style works better with the Shatterpoint minis than the MCP minis.
I liked it on them a lot. Definitely a lot. Yeah. Yeah, mine works better with like fucking Space Marines, unfortunately, but look, Chaos specifically.
Just run an MCP game with all Space Marines.
I mean, I just paint my stuff the way it
mutants.
Is. Oh, I mean, my new mutants are all painted in a grimdark color scheme, anyways. So, my magic broke at the team tournament, and like she snapped right off because I have like one of my magics. Yeah, her foot snapped off. So
I'm letting everyone know. Oregon has like 4 magics.
Yeah, they know this. I talked about it like a year ago. I wasn't lying.
I thought you were like over exaggerating, and so I started going through your bin, and I kept finding different magics.
Yeah, only one's painted though. One is like has like some color on it, but that's the norm. That's the kit from AMG. I don't like that one, so I just leave it in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my normal one's like her scale is actually a little bigger too, which I appreciate because she looks a little bit more, you know, thick around the thighs, if you will. Got that booty. So yeah, I guess like, so while we're on the topic of painting, I just, my Black Hat and my Wong are ready to like start to cell shade. So I'm going to do that, soon. And I get my spiders in tomorrow. So I live, for those who don't know, some of our local listeners definitely know because I only show up to their LGS once in a while. I live about an hour from any game store. So I typically order my stuff online because it just gets to me quicker than I can like make it to a store. So my spiders are coming in the mail tomorrow with some paints and some new brushes. So
that's fun.
Yeah,
you can get them.
Yeah. So life stuff. I already did mine. So
just midterms. That's it.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, easy.
Yeah. All right.
All right. And then we should mention, since this is coming out tomorrow, we're recording a little late this week because we're switching our recording schedule so that Sean and oh my God,
Eric.
I'm sorry, Eric. You're gonna listen to this and be like, I don't want to come on this podcast anymore. But Sean and Eric were kind of aligning, and Mike asked for this. So, we're kind of redoing our recording days to Thursdays. So the morning of they're released every Thursday. So the morning of they come out, and then we record them at night, and then it's just easier for our schedules at this point.
It also gives more time to edit.
I mean, sometimes I need a lot of time, to be fair. Yeah, but So anyway, so this weekend, I think we might be the first podcast to say anything about this, which is cool. This weekend, our friends, including co-host here, Jin, were at WTC in Europe, and they made it to the finals game and ended up coming in third. But they performed really well. Those are all of our fucking buddies, like Rob.
Dude, I was so proud. I'm so proud of them. Like I saw Jeff last night at the shop, and I was like, I'm buying you a Slim Jim. I'm so proud of all of them. They did great.
Yeah, they did absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, so. they did amazing, and they're gonna come back next year and do even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, so for those of you who don't know, WTC is a big team tournament, but the people specifically that were there on the Pork Roll team were Jin, our co-host here, who put up like one of the best runs I've ever seen Jin do at a tournament. But Jin was there. Ben, our friend Ben, was there. Ben Laka, Rob, who I've mentioned having a man crush on before. Ben, Jeff, obviously, and Art. Art and Rob and I'm trying to get Art to go to a show, but he keeps saying that he's a maybe or something. Peer pressure him in. Rob doesn't listen to this. I would say Rob, but Rob does not listen to podcasts. So what are you going to do? But yeah, congrats guys. That was fucking awesome. I do wish it did make me really wish that they fucking streamed that event, you know?
Oh, see some of the games? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's top level play.
Yeah. And like a lot of big names are, I mean, not every big name is there, but a lot of really, really strong players are there doing really well, playing their best kind of MCP. And 5-team tournaments like don't happen that much. And so it's just nice. It's cool to see like that, even the structure of how you pair, you know, if they could. So
I think they might be the only one that is like continuously every year, WTC.
Yeah. Well,
for 5 teams.
I think they started. So WTC was huge in, you know, coming from 40K, right? WTC was also a huge thing in the 40K community. So it continues to be like kind of the world's premier team event. Where like I think WTC for 40K was an invitational, even like you had to get invited to be part of your country. So
yeah. I found out actually last night that a lot of games were like that. I thought it was just like you sign up and you go, and like no, you have to like try out basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only one country, only one team per country.
Yeah, in 40K they do like one team, like USA, and it's an invitational.
Yeah, but but like MCP is not as big as like the other game systems yet.
Yeah.
So
well, also I always found one good and bad thing about that. But we're on that topic is it was the same people every year because it'd be like their friends who were captains, which actually like sucks. So I like the MCP format better. Just because you can go and like be like, hey, we made this team, let's try to do our best. Like I like that kind of like underdog thing. Like it should be open to everyone, but then like, yeah, I just should be open to everyone. I don't understand why they do that, but I guess space and whatnot. But anyways, congrats guys, Team Pork Roll. Speaking of Pork Roll too, while we're on the topic, the Pork Roll dice on Baron of Dice. So Jinner Will gave us a couple at the team tournament. I just got to say, if you want to support America's #1 team, because they are right now, at least if you're using WTC as the standard of judgment, the Pork Roll dice on Baron of Dice are matte finish. They're this nice green. Will really appreciate this. You're welcome, Will. They're this nice, really like black and green. They're actually like super great dice. So go get those at Baron of Dice. Support Jin and the #1 team in the USA right now.
Yeah, guys, go do it. Those dice are awesome. I've been using them for a year now. Yeah,
they're great. I only have 2, but you know I don't need more than 2.
I had 10 and then I lost one, and then
well, you're part of Pork Roll. I'm not. So, as Jeff Trost has very very bluntly pointed out, I am not part of the Pork Roll. So this is all shameless plugging. You're welcome. Anyways, all right. So good job, guys. I think just real quick, we wanted to do a State of Spiders episode a couple of months after when we talked about it with Matt Alex. I think we'll probably get that in the runner soon to gear up just to talk about where our lists are at. Maybe after PAX.
Well, yeah, probably after PAX.
Yeah, after PAX, because Mike and I have some spicy ideas. Mostly Mike, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, no, I give you some back and forth, I think.
Yeah, no, you do.
But regardless of that, so Mike, you know, we're going to start our Shatterpoint content right now. Oh, speaking of which, this is actually very timely. The past couple of nights, I've just been rewatching the OG trilogy. Last night, I watched a few minutes of Empire before I fell asleep. But the thoughts there.
Oh.
But what do you foresee for yourself, kind of like this segment taking?
So let me. I guess I'll start briefly with how Star Wars, I guess, has impacted my life.
Okay.
I remember when I was seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters. That was my first time like seeing anything like it. I like fell in love with it, and then growing up, I had a bunch of Lego sets, different like costumes for like Halloween. Like my whole room was just Star Wars. And I grew up mainly with the Clone Wars TV show. That's still like my favorite content ever. Ahsoka being my favorite fictional character ever. And I have a bunch of Star Wars tattoos. And
Wait, you have tattoos?
Yeah.
Since when?
I've had that for like 3 years now.
Are they small? You're like, why haven't I noticed this?
I'll send you a picture right now, real quick while I talk. I have one literally on my arm.
Oh, how have I never noticed this before?
Because I'm always wearing long sleeves.
Okay.
Because I get very cold easily. This isn't a good picture because my camera's not focusing. But
it's okay. Continue with the content, Mike. We're about tattoos later.
So my first miniature game was Star Wars Legion, and I remember going to a comic book shop to go get some actually Star Wars comics, and I saw the Star Wars Legion core box, and I was like, "What is this?" And the guy explained it to me. I still didn't understand it. I bought the box. I bought like 2 expansions just because it's Star Wars. I opened the box. I'm thinking the figures are already painted, or not painted, built, right? And painted.
Yeah.
I thought. I opened it, and I was like, did I just get gypped? Why is everything not built? What is this? So I started trying to fit stuff and it's not going together. I'm like, what do I do here? I don't get this thing. And then my brother-in-law walked by and he's played Warhammer. He's like, oh, that's a model kit. This is for a game. You have to like glue them, paint them. I was like, no, F that. I don't want to.
Did he show you X-Wing? Because that would have been a good intro to X-Wing.
No, he's never played X-Wing. But anyway, I played Star Wars Legion competitively for like about 4 years, and then I got out of it, and I was playing MCP and Legion at the time. Then they announced Star Wars Shatterpoint. I was hooked right away. I played it for about 2 months, but the stuff that I wanted to play, there wasn't a lot out at the time. Like I wanted to play a bunch of Jedi and clones, but also they weren't that good, so I just kept getting like stomped. And then once about a couple months ago, around like February, April time, when they announced the more kits that are coming out, and it's more like Clone Wars era, and it was like 3 new Jedi kits that were coming out, Delta Squad coming out, and I was like,
that was at Adepticon, right?
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm jumping right back into it. The next week, I just started playing more games, and I fell re-loving with the game. Like I was like, okay, this is a really good game, and now I like it not just because it's Star Wars, but it's because the game system is amazing too.
Yeah, a lot of people, I'll say it right off the bat, especially since people listening to this are from most likely the MCP crowd. I will say a lot of people don't like it at first. I feel like there's something there though. The people who don't like it don't play mission playing factions. I've noticed, a little bit. So
I think what it is it's so. Shatterpoint is so different than any miniature game that I've played so far. Your models that you spend a lot of time on for Warhammer, MCP, Age of Sigmar, or whatever, you spend so much time painting them, getting them put together, and then they just get like one shot off the board, and you're like, oh, like I wanted to play with this model and it just died, you know, or it didn't do anything, like, and it's kind of a feel bads moment. Shatterpoint. Most games, nothing leaves the board. Yeah. So that aspect of stuff not dying, you have to get used to. Stuff gets wounded for MCP related days, but it can get dazed multiple times. What happens is when you get wounded days equal the same thing. When you get wounded in the game, the cost of stuff you want to do is more. But your model doesn't leave the board. It can. Everything has a certain stamina. It can eventually leave the board, but before it leaves the board, it still gets one last activation, and then it leaves the board. But like your heroes, like if I'm playing with Anakin Skywalker, that man is never leaving the board. Like your main heroes never leave, and if they do, that is just It's so rare.
Yeah.
I have never had it happen yet.
So what you're pointing out basically is like this is not an attrition game. Not really.
It's not an attrition game. This game is about controlling points, displacing people. You can play attrition. Ironically, I've started just becoming mainly attrition, I guess.
Well, don't tell people that.
But it you can play attrition base, but you can also play objective base.
Yeah, but when you're attrition, you're not looking to remove models necessarily. You're looking to like daze their activations.
You're looking to either daze them, give them conditions, and really like get them off the points. So I guess I'll go into just briefly how Shatterpoint plays.
Yeah, or why you should play Shatterpoint. I guess they're both, right?
Well, I'll go into why you should play Shatterpoint. If you love Star Wars, that's the number one reason. If you are advocate about it and you love everything about Star Wars like I do, you should at least give it a shot.
Hold on. I'll interject there because I like Star Wars a lot as a kid, as much as I was more of a Lord of the Rings person, to be completely honest, in terms of IPs. But I will say, not just if you're a Star Wars fan, if you really like the idea of like a kind of back and forth mission objective game, like play game, like where you're kind of pushing, pulling, things are, going one way and then going the other, because that's exactly how it scores. So if you kind of like that whole back and forth aspect of like outmaneuvering people, especially. So like if positioning was ever important to you when you're playing a game, I think Shatterpoint positioning is, it's even more important in Shatterpoint than it is in other gaming systems. So
yeah, 100%.
So if you like that and Star Wars, or just Star Wars, to be fair. Also,
it's less tilting than MCP. You can ask a lot of people that play MCP and play Shatterpoint. Mostly they'll say it's less tilting because the dice variance is less of a factor. Everything has a max amount of damage that it can do. So my little clone trooper can't just one shot randomly like Leia or Luke.
And why is that, Mike?
Everything has what we call a damage tree. What a damage tree is, it tells you how much dice you roll on defense, how much you roll on shooting, how much you roll for melee. But your successes, if I get, say, 5 successes through on the damage tree, I only go 5 up the tree. And there's different paths you can do, but every unit has a max amount of damage they can do. So let's say, example, one that I know off the top of my head is Shakti. She can only do a max of 8 damage. Now, if I get full up my tree, which is 6 through, and I'm hitting something that has 9 health and it doesn't have any damage, it can only take a max of 8 damage and it's not going to die. So everything is a max amount of certain damage it can do. You can't just get randomly spike off the board, basically.
Yeah. I think that's an important point out too, because like we talk a lot in miniature games about like min-max, and what we talk about when we're talking about that in terms of MCP, we're actually talking about the most effective your model can be, which means you're spiking, to the least effective. So like what they'll do for free. So like I guess let's break that down in terms of like a card. Let me just pull up a character real quickly. Not someone complex. Wong. I have my webs list up. So Wong at most is always going to be able to gain a power, most likely pass a power. And then at max, he's gaining power, passing power, and then doing an attack where he does 4+ damage. So, the math there, right, is if you roll all crits and convert all crits, Wong can theoretically push through 8 damage on his strike. So, like, that kind of dice, that's a huge variance pool, right? When you have that kind of, like, ability to double the amount of successes you get. And so in Shatterpoint, we're looking at a lot less there's no a lot less variance because you roll to see how far you get up the tree, which is a dictated amount of damage.
So another thing is
plus effects.
Let's say I'm playing the new Delta Squad. Delta Squad is an attrition. They're basically attrition models, but you can add dice to clone troopers. So your leader boss, the orange clone, to make it simple. He's rolling typically 8 dice in attack, and that can be up to, let's say, how his card is going to sound wild. It could be 20 dice, right? Now, in MCP or other games, you'd be like, oh my god, that's a lot of dice.
Yeah,
but in Shatterpoint,
that's like 20 damage,
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I get. he only goes up 6's tree, and that's 9 damage. So
Yeah.
all those dice, it doesn't matter. I'm only going to do a max of 9 damage.
Your dice pool is determining how reliably you're getting up your tree.
Yes. And when you get up the tree, you also have stuff that isn't damaged. You have pushes, which pushes people off points.
Yep.
You can give out certain type of conditions. You have movements where you can move on your tree. And there's different stuff that you can do. A lot of times when you're shooting at somebody, you're actually not trying to kill them. You're trying to push them off a point so you can score it. Or you're trying to condition stack them to make their next activation worse.
Less effective. Yeah.
That's really what you're trying to do. If I take my clone troopers and I shoot into somebody's Luminara, who's a primary, I'm not going to kill her. I'm trying to condition stack her right now. I'm trying to give her a lot of conditions, and that may be only 2 up the tree. And they both get to shoot. So the dice is way less tilting. Now, where the variance for Shatterpoint comes in is the order activation. You don't choose who goes. It's random. You have order cards where you draw them, and that's who goes. Now, there's stuff way around it. You get to reserve somebody. You can if you reserve somebody, you draw again, and somebody else goes.
The Shatterpoint card itself is
So every unit has an activation card, and then in your deck you also put a Shatterpoint card. Where if you draw the Shatterpoint card, you get to pick anybody to go.
All right, so I'm gonna also just kind of interject here. This is a pain point for a lot of people. Why, in your opinion, should this not be? Like, I know a lot of people who talk about Shatterpoint, they're like, oh, well, I really liked the game, but I don't like how it's random activations. I've heard that more than once. So what is how do you kind of sort that out? Or why do you think it's a good thing, or why it's a bad thing, or why you should still play even though that happens?
So for me, when I play MCP, I hate relying on attack dice. So that's why I play mainly objective focused teams. I don't like dice to determine if I do well this game or not. That's why I don't like attrition teams that much. In Shatterpoint, the dice variance is way, way less, to where I never get tilted at dice attacking or defending, because you know the max amount of damage something can do. And if you take a leader, so like a primary, which I'll get into squad building in a second, if you take a primary into like a support, like the grunts, basically, like, you're probably going to like kill them. But if I take like if they take a secondary and shoot into my primary, they're not going to really kill them. The dice is way less variance. There's a lot of ways you can get around it. So I'm fine with the random variance in the game coming from my order pool, because you have ways to manipulate it where you don't have to go with that person right away. Or when you do go with that person, you don't have to put them in such a spot where they can just die. You can move them around to certain points.
Question.
Yes.
We didn't talk about some of the more advanced gameplay because we played not an advanced game, but if you pull someone, like, that's probably a good opportunity to it makes you encouraged to like rotate more. You know what I mean?
This game is all about like rotation. If I pull, let's say, Mace Windu, and I'm like, I don't want him to go yet, so I reserve him, right?
Yeah.
And then I go to my next, and I pull, let's say, the Padawan Learners, which is a 2-body support. I have to go with them. I have no other choice. Now, I can either if they're right next to Darth Vader, I can either go into Darth Vader and have Darth Vader basically live, because it's very unlikely I'm going to kill him, depending on how much damage. Or I can rotate them around the board and go somewhere else and get them in a different position. Or I can have them go split up to go take 2 points. There's a lot of decision makings with the game, basically. And it's really because when you go with somebody and say they're next to somebody to get shot at, you know how much damage that model can do once you play the game enough. You know if they're going to be safe or not.
Yeah. I think it's important to note here, too, like, I think maybe I'm just trying to like parse out like some of the problems I've heard to kind of address them here and like encourage people to play. Cause like, in all honesty, I mean, I do tend as well to be I play attrition probably more than you, but like I do tend to, at least nowadays and in my 40K pass, play a mission objective based team. And so like playing Shatterpoint, like you were surprised, you mentioned last episode that I liked it, but like you shouldn't maybe have been, because my mind actually typically works like mission playing. And so I do think like if you are an attrition based player, this will like be a totally different game to like open up a different style of like play. And you just can't think that way, you know?
If you want to play attrition, you can still do it.
Yeah.
There's lists that can just outkill your opponent. Like, I'm not saying you can't play attrition.
Yeah. Attrition is just different in this context anyways, right?
Yes, because it's not... Attrition can be... I can have in a model that rolls a ton of dice, but their condition is... Or their attrition, I'm sorry, is giving out 4 conditions if they get full up their tree, which just neuters any model, basically, that goes when they go.
I mean, look at APOC, you know, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
The Pestilence bombs.
And the good thing about conditions in this game is there's 4 conditions. There's expose, disarm, strain, and pin. Pin is your next movements. You have to shake the pin. Strain is your next anything, like any activation, anything they do. You take 3 damage. Expose and disarm. I'm not going to get to like the dice variants. Expose is for basically defense, and disarm is for offense. For your expertise, there's something called expertise in this game. It's a little more complicated. We can go into a later episode. But what I'm trying to get at is, if I do a movement and I have pin, the pin goes away. It doesn't stay on the board. It's like now it's gone.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of conditions, just like general, let's try to keep this very high level because like we're trying to encourage people to play this too. So like wherever you go with the podcast, I'm sure it'll end up being like more competitive because that's just how you roll. But so conditions do what in the game? You know, for those who don't, because they're still like, you know, we play like 1 fucking round. So like
conditions really neuter a model.
In terms of what movement?
In terms of movements, their attrition, the abilities that they can do. It's actually, attritions are worse than MCP in this game. So let's say strain. If I give a model strain and they have 2 damage left, unless they shake that strain as their first activation, which is an action you can do, then to get rid of that strain, you have to do something, and they take 3 damage and they get wounded. Pin, right. If I have a model that is very mobile, and if they're pin, well, now their movements is they just stay where they are, and they have to shake the pin. It really neuters models' abilities to get around.
Yeah, those sound like an increase. Like if we're comparing that to MCP, it sounds like a worse version of Stagger, and or a worse version of Bleed, kind of.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. I guess the next thing we should really hit that is important for this game is squad building, because people are probably wondering how squad building works.
Well, mention some cool characters too that are out in it right now for our listeners.
My God. Yeah. All right. So let me just go on.
I have the Asmodee store up right now. So I'll start off too. They have fucking the Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian, which I do own that one, and I fucking love that kit and do want to paint that at some point.
Yeah, Mando is awesome.
Yeah,
he's really good. So Clone Wars era, so they have characters like Captain Rex, Commander Cody, Obi-Wan, Luminara, Mundi, Mace, and then like they have Separatists, they have like Count Dooku, they have Riff Tamson, who's a shark guy from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Asajj Ventress, Grievous. The Galactic Republic era, you have like Rogue One that just came out. You have Luke Skywalker, the Spectres from Rebels. You have like Director Krennic, Thrawn. You have bounty hunters like Boba Fett, Dengar, Lobot, IG-88, Bosk. And then you have like Mandalorians like Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian, Gar Saxon. You have Darth Maul, too. You have Bad Batch. You have Ewoks that you could play. You have pirates. You also have Queen Amidala and her handmaidens, which is a box that you could pick up too. So they have a lot of it, because the game is so fresh. A lot of the stuff is like well-known characters. Yeah. And they're just starting to get into like the niche of like the Star Wars
from the new stuff, which I bet there will be eventually.
Yeah, so
like Kylo Ren.
They announced at Adepticon that Balin Skull from the Ahsoka TV show and Morgan Elsbeth is coming out.
Oh, awesome!
That comes out at the beginning of
I love
this year.
That character.
Yeah,
like the Sith one.
Yeah, so they're coming out, and I'm sure that's the only thing new that we have, and I'm sure at Mini Extravaganza they're going to announce more.
Yeah, and I would be willing to bet, since they've released a lot of like original saga and clone saga stuff, that there's going to be some like Kylo Ren and whatnot. So
yeah, I would assume so. Eventually that we'll get that.
And the Ewok, there's two Ewok boxes, so that's pretty fucking cool.
Yep, and you have some very dedicated Ewok players.
Yeah, and you said they're not half bad, so...
No, they are not half bad. They're a team that is... They're bad when you first play them, but once you play them enough, you know how to like play them, then they're actually really good.
Yeah.
They take a lot of practice.
And so on that note, though, so some really cool models out there. So even if you're not, go buy some and then paint them and then play the game, with some friends. But squad building, how does that work?
So squad building, we're going to focus on just there's something called Premiere format, and then I believe it's called Shadow format or something like that. Basically, you build 4 squads, and the 4 squads all consist of a primary, secondary, and supports. Your primary are like your big characters like Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, right? And they have what is called squad points. Anakin is a 7-point primary. He can now has 7 squad points to bring out. So out of your secondary and your support, you pick a model that is 4 and 3 points. So a typical Anakin list I play is Anakin Skywalker. I bring Ahsoka Tano Padawan, which is a 4-point secondary unit, and then I bring the ARF Troopers, which is a 3-point support unit, and that is those 2 units equal out to 7 squad points, and that is the gist of how squad building works. Now you're era locked in a way of there's different eras. If I play with Anakin, he is Galactic Republic era. I only can bring squad points from a Galactic Republic era in his squad. But my second squad can be, say, Luke Skywalker. And I can bring characters from secondary and support characters from the Galactic Civil War area. And let's say my third squad will be the Imperial Remnant era. And I bring Mando, and I only can bring characters from that era, basically. Now, and you fill out your 4 squads as is. Now, most people usually play like their 4 squads are, say, like all Republic or like all Separatists or like all Rebels just because of synergies. But you don't have to play like that.
Makes sense. It's like, from what I remember, because Nick and I did play a game with Shatterpoint where after playing the sample game, we were doing horribly wrong. But we did play a game, so we were looking at this. It is a lot easier to make a squad in Shatterpoint than it is in like even MCP, which is already pretty easy. So
the good thing about Shatterpoint is if you buy a box, that is a whole squad right there. So if I buy the General Obi-Wan Kenobi box, he's my primary. He comes with Commander Cody, which is my secondary, and then 212, which are my supports. And that is a squad in itself. And you can just play that squad as is. A lot of boxes are like that, where it's great to just play as is. Delta Squad, great to play as is. Kanan Jarrus' box, great to play as is. The Armorer box, great to play as is. But then you have boxes that you can branch out. I bought the Plo Koon box. I don't play the Plo Koon box as is because I don't think they synergize well, but I use the models elsewhere. So there's a lot of different synergies, and that's what I really like about the boxes. It's like you buy it and then that's it.
Yeah,
you don't have to buy. You don't have to buy anything else. To really start the game, you just need 2 squads. So like you buy 2 boxes and that's it.
Yeah, and the starter is really good because it comes with
4 squads.
Some great models too.
Yep, yeah, it comes with 4 different squads. Now, when it comes to the squad building, the reason why you bring 4 squads, because like just like MCP, when you play the game, you see what your opponent's playing, you see what mission's playing, you pick 2 squads to put on the board. You're not using R4, you pick 2 squads to go on the board. And that is how you are playing the game. So you kind of have different, with the 4 squads, when you bring them, you have different, like see what your opponent's playing and be like, okay, will this squad work or will that squad work better? Basically. And then you play your squads like that.
Makes sense.
So when I say you only need 2 to start the game, technically you only need 2 squads to play the game each.
Okay. And so you mentioned here before we get into how it kind of, we're not going to go too in depth, also for like sake of time. How you mentioned here the hobby side though of the game. Like I know that's probably like subjective to be honest, but like the models are they are good. The only one complaint I have is like the lightsabers seem like they're going to break.
I hate the light. That's actually my only complaint too. Everyone hates those lightsabers. The best model in all of AMG's lines out of all their games, and it's not even debatable by a lot of people, not just Shatterpoint players, even like a lot of MCP players, is the General Grievous model.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that model looks like,
it's fucking sick.
Just look up the General Grievous model on the AMG website, and you'll be like, oh my god. And I'll tell you, in person, he is big. He is a big, beefy model. I love it, dude. He is. He's an amazing model. I think the Shatterpoint...
the scale is slightly different, right?
Yes, it's a little bit bigger than MCP. I think the Shatterpoint models, because they're heroic scale, honestly, I think they're better than the MCP models. Like and I'm not just biased because I like Star Wars. I just think the sculpts and how they look are actually better.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many MCP models at this point too that it like depends on the model, but like it does seem like they learned from the mistakes of their past in terms of printing. You know,
Yeah.
And they are definitely like getting more like, you know, I'm looking over my painting desk and I just looked over quickly and saw Abomination. And I was like, that's a pretty sick model, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, but like I think Shatterpoint, consistency and like learning from some of the MCP stuff they printed, they've come a long way. So when this game was released, it like really is like a top quality there.
Yeah.
So
I just thought of something. I actually want to talk about terrain briefly.
Okay.
Because it's actually very important. So unlike MCP, you cannot throw terrain, which I thought this game was going to be. Terrain is not throwable. But the terrain has different elevations, which is really cool for the gameplay aspect. So you can build up your terrain to be different elevations, height, and width with it. And they have something called ingress points, which is ladders, where if you move next range one of a ladder, your model gets to go up to whatever that is, or down if they're by that ingress points. And terrain does matter. So if we pull an objective, and when we're setting up the board, if the objective has to be placed on a terrain, it has to go onto the highest level. And then for scoring standpoint, whoever's on the same elevation of that terrain scores it over the person if they're under it or above it. So if an objective level is like at the bottom, like ground level, and I have a model at ground level next to it, and then their model's still rich in range 2, which is scoring, but they're higher, I still get it. Because you have to be in range 2 of scoring, but you don't have to necessarily be, just like MCP on the same elevation. But elevation does matter for scoring in this game, like the terrain aspect.
Yeah, and if you decide, they do have a TTS mod for this game as well, if you play online more than you play in person. The TTS maps that they've designed for this game are fucking sick. Some of them are really, really cool. It's like inside a space station.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that one before, which is kind of nuts. And so I'm only imagining. So in my head, cool terrain, in my opinion, and this is obviously subjective, but in my opinion, the coolest terrain I've ever seen from any game system, and this isn't just because I like Lord of the Rings, but it's the Games Workshop Lord of the Rings game. But I do see a world where Shatterpoint can rival that because the terrain is actually because it just plays differently. It's not just functional. So you can really get a scenic board going, and even the stuff that comes in the starter for Shatterpoint is really cool and interactive. Because you do go on different levels of it, and it's more 3D than.
So I think where Shatterpoint is with their terrain is how MCP was when it first came out, where a lot of the terrain sets that come out were only like really they were supposed to work with each other. So like a lot of the MCP stuff was all like city based, where the Shatterpoint is all like right now everything that's coming out is like Tatooine, like desert based. But I can see in a world maybe in like a couple months, like a year or two, a lot of the terrain is going to be more diverse. That they come out with. And that's why I'm not like totally like, oh, it's only like one kind of terrain, because I just feel like they're eventually going to come out with other terrain that
it's a young game. So
it's only 2 years old. Yeah. So the game.
Yeah, you should keep that in mind, listeners, too, when you go to try it out. Like, there's not as much stuff as maybe you'd want, but that means there's so much more stuff that is on the horizon, right?
Yeah. Oh, and they have, in 2 years, they covered for the 2 main eras, plus Bounty Hunters, plus the Mando era, plus stuff from like Star Wars Rebels, and some like also niche stuff too that like diehard fans really only know about, like Delta Squad and the Rift Tamsin.
Mm-hmm.
So they've covered a good chunk in 2 years, and a lot of terrain that has come out too.
I will say
I bought every terrain set.
I'll say it seems like they have more freedom with this IP than they do under Marvel. Just from an outsider, I don't know any of the inner workings of AMG. But I do, just based on release schedule and kind of what they're doing with the game, it does appear like they have a lot more freedom to release stuff when they want, how they want, when it's ready for production, rather than kind of, I know in Marvel we hear like, you hear rumors that they might have to wait for like a Marvel movie to come out. Like that's not happening in this game. So they kind of just release stuff as they want to, which is better because over time, once they catch up to kind of the amount of stuff that's in MCP, which to be fair, they're like not that far behind. Then they can, stuff comes out more regularly for Shatterpoint, it feels like. So
I also like how, I know in like MCP, people were like, oh, like another Peter Parker Spider-Man. But I do like that. I like this in Shatterpoint that, let's say Ahsoka as an example. there is 3 different Ahsokas. There's Ahsoka when she's a Padawan, and Ahsoka right at the end of season 7 of the Clone Wars, and Ahsoka when she's grown up. And it's like different aspects of her life, and each Ahsoka is a different unit in the game. Or actually, 2 of them are primaries, one of them is secondary. But what I do like is they all have one ability that's the same, but everything else they have is different. Like they all play different, and
so
I like
just
that.
Straight up different characters, pretty much.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah.
It's also like Anakin and Darth Vader. There's now 3 different Darth Vaders and 1 Anakin Skywalker. I guess I'll use Darth Vader as an example. All 3 of the Darth Vaders, they all hit hard, but they all do different things too, and it makes them very unique. So when it comes to squad building, you have to debate like, do I want that Vader or that Vader?
Yeah.
Like really, like which one do I want? And I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, and I think what you're saying too, to put this also in a different context, is like when we think of an MCP, we think of different characters. We're like almost more objectively, like which one's better, because typically they have the same rule set. So there is one that, like look at the fucking Peter Parkers. Besides like Peter Parker 5-Threat and Peter Spec, like I guess that's a bad example because they do play different roles, but. What's a better? Never mind. Okay, you see what I'm saying though. Like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
like
one is usually better than the other.
like the 3 different like Black Widows. Like it's they all play very similar. It's like which one though is objectively better to have usually.
And I know you can make an argument, but like for our more casual listeners out there, I bet you're like, oh, I'm going to go with this one most of the time because that one's just straight up better.
What I also like is I'll go back to the Ahsokas is. When you have the characters in like MCP that are the same, they're usually part of the same team. Like all the Peter Parkers are weapons.
Yeah.
In Shatterpoint, the secondary Ahsoka, the Padawan, is only she works really only with the Republic.
Yeah. So they have different eras.
The one after her and the other one I'm about to talk to, the season 7 Ahsoka, they have the same era, but the season 7 Ahsoka is like a solo piece where she can go with anybody. It doesn't matter. She could play with the Separatists. She could play with the Republic.
Oh, because they're like rule synergy on the card?
How the rules are aligned. And then you have the adult Ahsoka who is like Rebels, basically. Like she works like the Rebels. Like she synergizes with them, basically. Yeah. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, because it lets you play like different ones at different. I know they try to do that MCP, but like half the time it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so this all be saying that's kind of how you build your squads. Let's give like kind of an overview of how it plays, and especially just like talk about general gaming things,
So how the general game plays is I go, you go. So I go with the unit, you go with the unit. Now you have something called Force, which is basically your cost economy. Each of your primaries bring X amount of Force. So Anakin uses, and I'm keep using Anakin because I'm like a diehard Anakin player. I love playing him.
I gotcha.
That's why I keep talking about him because he's just a beat stick, and I just love using him to beat up on models. Anakin brings 4 Force, and then the primary I use him to pair him with, which honestly is like unquestionably like his best pairing, is Ki-Adi-Mundi, ironically, who brings 3 Force. So I have a total of 7 Force to use, and you use the Force economy to do different actions on their cards. So Anakin can spend 2 Force to attack twice, example. And that matters because you only get to attack once each model. Like you can't double tap. Each model gets two actions, and you only do each one once. You can either move, attack, or focus, which gives you an extra attack dice, or shake a condition, or take cover. And you may be thinking, oh wow, you don't really get up the board that much. But there's ways with the Force to get your models up the board. And almost all of your units have out-of-activation movements. So if I go with like Ki-Adi-Mundi, he's moving himself for free while also moving like another unit at the same time. But basically, it's I go, you go. I draw, I see who I go with. You try to go take points by being within range 2 of it. And throughout the game, if your units get wounded, your Force economy goes up. So if my Anakin ability to spend 2 Force to attack twice is 2, if he has a wound token on him, it is now 3. So that is why wounding stuff is also important to make the Force economy go up. It just makes units more expensive throughout the game. At the end of each of your activation, you score points. So if I'm controlling 2 points, we have something called a struggle tracker, which is kind of like tug of war, like a back and forth system. You have to get the white die to your side fully before your opponent does, and that's how you win the struggle. But if I score 2 points, I move it 2 towards me. If my opponent scores 3 points, they move it 3 back to me. And as you wound stuff, you get something called momentum, which closes the gap on your side, which is a black die that closes it for scoring.
Yeah, so imagine like a pendulum kind of swinging back and forth as you activate, which is kind of exactly what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then so in order to score points over somebody, you have to either A, move them off the points, or B, have more models on it. Now, you may think, okay, if I push them off the point, they're not scoring it. That is not necessarily true. Their scoring doesn't leave unless you go to it. So if I take a model and I shoot a model off a point, and they're not within 2 anymore, but I don't move my model onto that point, my opponent is still scoring that point. It still doesn't leave. You have to have a model on it to overtake it, or have more models than your opponent to overtake it. That is why supports are so important for this game, because supports bring 2 bodies. Most cases, there are some supports that is just themselves, but they bring 2 bodies which act as 2 scoring points that can overtake it. So if I have like 2 supports that move on to the same point as Darth Vader, I take that point over Darth Vader without having to like move him off the point, basically.
Yeah. Makes sense. And we kind of touched on this too, but I guess it's good to mention again that this is more of a scoring game than a killing game. So if you're expecting to kill things, like Mike said, you can, but like maybe play the game on its own context before you like start attritioning.
Yeah, but like you can still play lists at attrition. There's like good Empire list at attrition now, and now good Republic lists. So I will say briefly, like if you want to play attrition, play some Empire or play the new Delta Squad that comes out. If you want to play a complete control list, you play like Republic Jedi. If you want to play reactive stuff, which everyone agrees is like the most annoying thing to play, but I like playing them, is Rebels. Like Rebels are very reactive with what you do. If you want to be really fast, play the droids. Or the Mandos that are also really fast, makes sense because they have jetpacks. If you want to play kind of like very tricks and traps based, like I'm going to like trick my opponent and do like shenanigans, you play bounty hunters. This is like all different ways to play the game.
That's nice too to hear that like all the affiliations also have their own kind of like unique play style. Yeah.
So I know like Galactic Republic is a big it's a big team. There's a lot of Jedis and clones that you could play as. But they also have their innermost like play styles. If I want to play, I'm gonna try to kill you. You play like Hunter from the Bad Batch and like Delta Squad. If I want to play like a complete control list, I bring like Ki Mundi and like Plo Koon. If I want to be like really reactive of what my opponent does, I bring like Luminara and like Ahsoka. You know, like they still have their own like way of playing. So in their own like team.
Yeah. So even within the play style, they do their own kind of thing.
So like I'm more of like a dedicated like Republic player, and then like my side piece is like Rebels. But I mainly play Republic because I can get all flavors of play through just playing Republic and just like with Republic units and like some splashes. And you know it helps me also like save money. It's not like if I want to play something different, then I need to buy like Empire or like a bunch of droids. Like I can just stick with like the team that I like to play.
Makes sense.
And they all have different play styles. Basically too.
And so, Mike, sorry, I know you got to go. For sake of time as well, what should a person do to like start to get started with this game?
So the obvious answer is, I'll say, get the core set. The core set comes with 4 different squads. It comes with 2 bad guys and 2 good guys. It gets you Anakin, who is awesome to play, and Captain Rex, and also Darth Maul, who's a lot of fun. It comes with almost a full terrain board worth of terrain. It gives you all the stuff you need, the measuring sticks, the tokens, the dice, and everything. But if you look at the box and you're like, I don't really want to play that stuff, and you're like, I want to play Empire, you can just buy 2 Empire boxes. Let's say you buy the Darth Vader box and the Thrawn box, and you could just play that and be done. And get some dice, get some measuring sticks, borrow tokens from your opponent that you play, and you're basically be it. You don't need a lot to start.
Would you suggest downloading like the list builder apps? You can at least see where their boxes are aligned. You know,
I recommend downloading Point Break for Star Wars Shatterpoint. It's an app you can download on your phone, or it's a website. You can browse all the characters to see every single one, and also filter them by like the box. But But it's really good to get into and like look at what you really want to play. If you see something, you're like, oh, Mandalorians, and there's 2 different Mandalorian units, like there's like the Mandalorian and the Armorer. You could buy those 2 boxes and just like rock those 2 basically.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to just buy the core set. I always recommend buying the core set, just like MCP. I always recommend buying the core set just because it's a great value.
Yeah,
I will say if you own like Faceit Marketplace, you could find a brand new core set easily for like $70 or $80. I literally done that once and bought a whole new core set and then sold all my painted core set models to somebody and then just repainted everything. So you could definitely find the core set for cheap in a lot of places.
Yeah, I think the retail right now is $165, but you can definitely find that for cheaper for sure.
Yeah, the average you'll be paying is like $120, but like I said, if you want to be a little bit different, going like Marketplace, you could definitely find it for way cheaper.
And you can get the tools and the dice for $30 for both. So if you wanted to go that route as well.
Yep. I will say they use they use the exact same measurement as the MCP except for the move stick. It's the medium MCP stick. It's like that for Shatterpoint, but the Shatterpoint one is a smidge longer.
Yeah. So I guess like if you really had to, you could use your MCP tools.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. You could. The range tools to check for like range is the exact same as MCP. The short movements, which is called a dash in Shatterpoint, is the exact same for MCP. But the only one that is different is actually the one that you use to use a move action. That one is longer. But everything else you could technically just use the MCP one. Dice though, you need to get their dice.
Yeah, so they have a completely different symbology on their dice, so you definitely have to buy those. But I'm sure Baron of Dice also makes some specialized ones.
Yep, Baron of Dice also makes them for different factions, which it gives you like 6 defense and 8 offense, I think. Okay. I guess briefly too, the dice are different. The defense are D6s, and then the offense are D8s.
Yep. Yeah. Which also kind of like creates a different flavor to the game. So cool. And so we are going to be, Waller's going to be kind of running and upholding this segment. How often do you think you are going to want to cover Shatterpoint?
Minimum once a month, but obviously I would like to do more. Yeah, I know Sean, who's going to be coming on the podcast soon. He said he plays Shatterpoint and he plays Grievous, which I love because I don't know anyone locally that plays Grievous. So I'd like to pick his brain a bit on how to play that. He'd probably
be a regular guy on the segment. So okay, yeah. So minimum once a month. We could even get like its own rotation going, to be honest, if we have enough, but I am at minimum, I am taking a week off a month.
I would like to also, kind of like cover each primary or like how they play or like deep dive into like factions, how like the factions should play basically. Like anytime AMG announces any releases, like probably Mini Shenanigans, I'll probably love to do a Shatterpoint episode depending on what they cover there. Yeah, so
I think the kind of first episodes it sounds like we're heading is kind of the same thing we do on our MCP segments, which is kind of we haven't even covered them all, but like you're going to start to cover the affiliations and kind of talk about some of the rule sets. I was telling Steven, instead of covering affiliations, it's probably easier to cover individual primaries, because individual primaries play so different, and you compare them with so many different things. Like Darth Maul is a Dathomirian and like Separatist, but he pairs so well with the Mandalorian, and it's like it's like stuff like that that's so weird. And that's a really cool way to do it too. And I like that. Also, that means there's like more content you can do. So so look out for that. We'll probably it's October, so we're probably gonna start doing that in November. Mike and I will talk offline about like maybe what week every month I expect an episode by. Or more like when you expect it, and then we'll just slot you in for like that week every month, at least at first. So, and we may even do like an MCP and Shatterpoint the same week. I don't care if there's more content. To be honest,
it also means it doesn't mean I won't be on MCP episodes.
No. Yeah. We're not like booting him off the MCP. Yeah, just like we're not booting like Maddox and Nick off of our podcast. We're just kind of like changing the structure, starting to try to expand. And cover different games with people who play them more regularly. So, and like I know I like Shatterpoint and like would love to, explore it more. But like I only right now in my life have time for probably one primary game, so I'll still primarily be doing MCP. But there might be stuff I jump on for if I get more games in. So
I would like to before we log off, if anyone has like any questions about Shatterpoint, you can just reach out to me on Discord. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, whatever they may be.
You reminded me. So after this recording, I have to go into Discord, and I'm going to have to ask you, Mike, how to structure our new Shatterpoint segment. So of the Discord, like for conversations. Yeah. Because that'll be something we actually have to do.
Yeah.
Logistics. But yeah, so we'll talk about that offline. But if you're interested in Shatterpoint and you haven't joined our Discord and this is your first time listening, check below. I'm Steven. I run the MCP kind of portion of this, and I guess in general I run the podcast and edit it. So, but Mike will be kind of your go-to guy for Shatterpoint questions. So you can email us at aliveon1@gmail.com. You can join our Discord with the link below. Mike will have to tell me what other kind of links to put below because they won't be the same ones, I guess. I'm just realizing as well. So, but Huge Miniatures, our affiliate, it does work for both Shatterpoint and MCP. So you can get some basic materials, some paints, and if you follow that link below. Other than that, I guess you want to sign off?
Yeah. Godspeed, Skywalkers.
All right, one more time. Say that.
Oh.
Full sentence.
Thank you for listening, and Godspeed, Skywalkers.
There we go. Thank you.